In this section of the review, I'll be focusing on the campaign of Halo 3. Please note that this section of the review may contain spoilers regarding the campaign of Halo 3, and it might spoil some parts of Halo 2 if you haven't played them yet. Halo 3 starts off a little while after Halo 2. The Master Chief is back on Earth after the battle on Delta Halo, and the Covenant have attacked Earth in full force. The Arbiter and the Elites have formed an alliance with the humans, and so it's up to the Master Chief to stop the Prophet of Truth from activating the Halo rings. The first thing that I should mention is that newbies to the franchise should be cautious. Halo 3 doesn't do a very good job at explaining what happened in the previous games at all, and throughout the game you'll be asking yourself, who's this guy, or who the hell's this woman that keeps popping up on my screen, or maybe, what's a Halo? I should strongly recommend playing Halo 2, or at least brushing up on the story of it if you want to get a good grasp of the story here. The problem with the story is that this is supposed to be humanity's final stand. Earth is the only real planet that the human race has left, but you don't really get that feeling when you're playing. It feels like the humans have everything under control and there's no real sense of desperation. Hello, the human race is facing extinction here, how about reflecting that in the dialogue? This is one of my biggest gripes with the Halo series. Bungie can never really seem to pull off the desperation that humanity is facing in this war against the Covenant. When you're playing the game, Marines start cracking jokes at things. How am I supposed to take the story seriously when the developers don't? It also doesn't help that this game was massively overhyped for its story. I mean, look at some of this stuff. Microsoft had a diorama built with some crazy huge battle on it, and they even started a campaign called Believe, which detailed the accounts of Marines who fought in the war. We got hyped. We thought that the story was going to kick ass. And unfortunately Halo 3 just failed to deliver an epic conclusion to the Halo trilogy, which I feel is a crying shame. And another point. At some point in the game there's a final stand against humanity and the Covenant, but it just doesn't feel like it. Humanity charges into battle with a single tank, a Warthog, 2 Hornets and a Mongoose. Wait, what? This is supposed to be the final battle that decides the fate between these two factions and only contains a handful of people? What's up with that? I also hate what they've done with Cortana here. Throughout the game she acts really enigmatic, and you start thinking that something interesting is going to happen when you finally find her again. But no, as soon as you find her the whole idea is dropped and it feels like the game tries to pretend that it all never happened. There's a lot of unanswered questions about her time with Gravemind at the end of Halo 2, and her strange behaviour throughout Halo 3. I felt really underwhelmed at having all this mystery being built up, only to have the game abandon it. Although I do rant about the story a lot, there's a lot of stuff here that should please fans of the series. There are terminals hidden throughout the campaign that should give you some information about the Forerunners and their struggles against the Flood, and Cortana even quotes some of the books in the game as you play through the campaign levels.
Would you sacrifice me to complete your mission? Would you watch me die?
I don't know if it's because I was so hyped up about this game when it came out, but we were pretty much promised an epic story that would really bring out the desperation of humanity, and Halo 3 failed to deliver that. Halo 3 feels like a refinement of Halo 2 in terms of gameplay. Dual wielding and vehicle hijacking both make a return, but a new gameplay mechanic appears that makes a rather drastic change on gameplay: equipment. Equipment consists of various pieces of, well, equipment. For example, you can throw down a shield that completely protects you from projectiles, or you can throw a regenerator to restore your shields. There's a ton of equipment in the game, each with different properties. On the easier difficulties of the game, the equipment feels more like a novelty. It's there, but you don't really need to use it. On the higher difficulties of the game, however, equipment becomes an essential tool to keep yourself alive. Equipment especially comes in handy when you're using the skulls in the campaign. I don't think I got to mention skulls in my Halo 2 review because I had to cut some things out, but skulls make a return for Halo 3. Just like in Halo 2, you must find the skulls in hidden locations on each level. Once activated, these skulls change the way that the game plays. Some make enemies throw grenades more often, and others make it so that you can't see your weapon, or so that you'll be seeing higher ranking enemies more often. Unlike in Halo 2, however, where the skulls remained active until you turned your console off, turned it back on, and then had to find them again, skulls in Halo 3 can be toggled on or off when you find them, so instead of having to pick a skull up every time you turn Halo 3 on, you can just turn it on in the pre-game lobby. Halo 3 supports up to 4 players in campaign co-op over System Link or Xbox Live. Unfortunately, this is prone to a lot of lag. If you're playing with people overseas, you might not get the smoothest experience in the world. It's a shame because Halo 3 is the only game I've played on co-op that suffers from this amount of lag. It actually raises concerns for me about ODST because its campaign and firefight mode both run on the same networking engine as Halo 3, but that's something to worry about for another day. Halo 3 introduces a new feature called campaign scoring. If you turn this option on, you'll be awarded points and medals for every kill that you get. This then goes to a final score that you're awarded at the end of the level. It's a nice little feature that can add some replay value to the game. It's just a shame that there aren't any leaderboards in the game for you to compare your high scores with friends, so once you earn the achievements of getting a certain score on a certain level, you probably won't really feel compelled to bother with it again. It's a shame because it's a great idea. Another thing that bothers me about the campaign is that there's no matchmaking for playing the game cooperatively. Call of Duty World at War and Gears of War, arguably Halo's biggest competitors, both feature matchmaking for their campaign, and there's none here. Again, it's a shame because 4-player co-op is actually really fun, and some people might not always have 3 other friends willing to play with them for some co-op when they want to. The campaign is also extremely short. Halo 3 took me about 6 or 7 hours to complete on my first go, and the levels are really linear. There's never really an alternative path to take to accomplish your goal. Actually, on that note, I'm going to quickly point something out. If you remember in my Halo 1 review, one of the things I mentioned was that one of Halo's greatest strengths is its freedom that it provides to players. That's still true to some extent in Halo 3, but it's clear that Bungie have done as much as they possibly can to limit the player. Take this example. I can't drive this mongoose through the store. Why? That's not a glitch or anything. Someone at Bungie actually went out of their way to place an invisible barrier here that stops vehicles. Why? Finally, another issue that I have with the campaign are the Cortana moments. These are parts of the game where Cortana takes up the whole screen, slows you to a crawl, and says something. These are pretty cool and enigmatic moments the first time you play through the game, but when you're replaying a level and all you care about is shooting bad guys, they can get really annoying and hurt the pace of the game. An option to turn them off after you've beaten the campaign would have been nice. During the build-up to Halo 3, we were promised an epic tale about humanity's struggle for survival against an overwhelming alien force. Unfortunately, the game just falls flat on its ass. Halo 3's campaign fails to deliver what was promised in almost every way. The levels are linear, the story is subpar, and the co-op campaign over Xbox Live could use some serious TLC. On the upside, the game does provide a rather fitting ending for the series, and there are a lot of references to previous Halo games and books that will probably satisfy fans of the series. If you're unfamiliar with the story of the Halo games, and the multiplayer doesn't interest you, you should probably give Halo 3 a miss. The campaign just feels like it was slapped on as an afterthought, which I feel is a really big shame because the story here certainly had a lot of potential. That's it for this section of the review. Click on one of the annotations below to check out a different part of the review.